Okay, let's clarify the layout view. So right now, when your screen is by default a black screen where you can draw white objects, this is called model space. Okay, and then you can switch to layout, and this is called Paperspace. So in Paperspace, you have a viewport, this box, and this box is looking at the drawing you have in model space. So layout view is paper with a viewport, and you can change the size of this viewport by selecting the viewport and then dragging the corners, which sometimes is going to be laggy on a Chromebook. Okay, now the viewport also can change scale, and you can change the scale here. And I believe for this drawing, we want it to be um, 1 is to 10 is to 1. Okay, I'll press escape. I can select the viewport, and I should be able to change the scale here. I wonder if my oh, here we go, viewport scale, and it's 10 is to 1. Select here, 10 is to 1. There you go. So that's supposed to be the scale of your drawing. All right, I'm going to press escape. Okay, now you can see my crosshair, and my crosshair is the one that's moving with the vertical and horizontal line. It is a crosshair on top of the viewport and outside the viewport. So this indicates I am in Paperspace. Now I can go and double click inside the viewport. Double click is like 1, 2. And if I double click, you can see now that the box around the viewport highlighted. And when I go outside the viewport, my crosshair is gone. It became a white arrow. But if I go inside or onto the viewport, it's back to a crosshair. So now what I just did was I entered the viewport. So I am inside now the viewport. And to go back out, I only have to go outside the viewport onto the gray area and then double click. There you go. So now I'm back to crosshair, crosshair, crosshair. So again, if you want to go inside the viewport, you can double click the viewport and the box will highlight. And you can also notice that I now have X, Y here. Okay, if I want to go outside the viewport, I go to the gray area and double click. And now there's no more XY here. What I have now is a triangle that has a XY. Okay, so double click, I'm inside XY, outside the viewport, gray area, double click. Now I have an XY triangle. Okay, so now I'm Paperspace, double click inside, I am in model space, double click outside, I am in Paperspace. So that's what I want to clarify. Okay. Now, if you double click the viewport, you can zoom in or out using your scroll wheel or using your trackpad. Once you do that, you just change your viewport scale. Okay. So double click outside, select the viewport, and our viewport scale is supposed to be 10 is to 1. And you can see here viewport scale, it's not 10 is to 1. So we're going to pull that down again, and we're going to find 10 is to 1 and click on it. And there you go. So again, you might double click inside the viewport and you can accidentally zoom out. If you do that, then you just change your viewport scale. So double click outside, select the viewport, and on the properties, you can see it's not 10 is to 1. This is the annotation scale. This is not the viewport scale. The viewport scale is the one that says viewport scale with a number here. It's supposed to be 10 is to 1. So pull that down again and then find 10 is to 1. Okay, and then if you can't see that, then that means that it's somewhere in the drawing. So it's very hard to see now. So I'm going to double click again, and then I'm going to zoom extents. There it is. And then I'm going to adjust my viewport scale so that my drawing is centered. There you go. Okay. So there's a way to prevent the zooming in or out while you're in Paperspace. So all I have to do is double click the viewport or select the viewport and then verify that my viewport scale is 10 to 1. And there's this one that says display lock. So I can put a check mark on there. Okay. And what happens is when I double click to go inside the viewport and I try to zoom, it will not zoom. It will zoom the paper. So the viewport scale is now locked. Okay. So double click outside. So make sure that you lock your viewport scale. Okay. Display lock. once you have this in the correct scale. All right. So that's what I'm just going to clarify. We are in paper space. When you're outside the gray area and it's a crosshair, you're in paper space. You might accidentally double click the box and the box will highlight, but you now don't have a crosshair in the gray area, okay, because you are now in model space. So simply go out by double click, okay, and this is paper space versus model space while in layout view. Okay, layout view, you have a triangle XY. If you double click, you don't have a triangle no more, but you have an XY coordinate. You are now in model space. So when you're in layout, you always want to be in paper space, but if you want to edit something, you can. Okay, you can edit it in model space. Okay, you can add, let's say, a line. Okay, you can add a line, draw a line, and let's say we want to use tangent and then tangent again. You can do that. Okay, press enter. And whatever you do in model space, you will see in paper space because you did that. You changed the model or you changed the drawing. Now, but you can also edit it here. You can double click. Since you are here, you can now again draw a line and then add something to your drawing. There you go. Okay, and then once you've done editing, you can go outside. Okay, and then when you pan, you're panning the whole paper. Okay, when you zoom, you're panning the whole paper, right? So make sure that your viewport set is to 10 to 1, and then you have your display lock so you don't mess up any drawing that you wanted to do. Okay.